The tiny seed knew that in order to grow, it needed to be dropped in dirt, covered in darkness, and struggled to reach the light. I'm Desiree Lee, best-selling author of Inmate 114-2980, The Desiree Lee Story, and I am passing my mustard seed. I want everyone who is viewing this DVD to know that you may face many defeats, but you must not be defeated. It's amazing on how when you ask God for help and when you surrender to Him and when you just say, you know what, Lord, I need you to do this because I've been trying to do it all myself for all this long and nothing works, on how He comes right immediately when you need Him. And my mother, she asked me, you want to go get your feet done or get your nails done? I said, sure, why not? Because what my family didn't know was I was planning to commit suicide that same exact night because I already quit. I quit in life. And I was mad and angry and sad and depressed. I just quit. I'm done. So I said, why not? This is the last time, so I thought, that we will have a good moment together. Until I ran into the lady. And when I went inside that nail salon, she said hello to me. I didn't want to hear what she had to say. I had a really nasty attitude because I was so hurt inside. But I'm so glad that she said hello. She asked if we can get coffee the next day and to talk further about her business and what she does, because I was wondering, why is she glowing? Where is her light coming from? What is this love that she's shining on me, a stranger who quite looks like, has a bad attitude, wasn't ready for life? I'm so glad I went there because that notion saved me from ending my life. When I seen her the next day at the coffee shop and we sat there and we talked, and what I did was I said, well, she doesn't know me, I don't know her, so we're gonna have a pity party. I poured everything on her, everything that was weighing so heavy on my back. She sat there and she said, okay. Oh, yeah. And I was getting a little angry and frustrated with her because she wasn't responding the way I thought she should respond with the news I was giving her. And she went in her purse and took out a small jar of mustard seeds. When she took out that jar of mustard seeds, I was really upset because I already knew what that was going to be about. I've been in church all my life. I'm like, oh Lord, here she goes. She's going to preach to me. This is not what I came here for. This is not what I need. So I held out my hand, just to entertain her because I'm not sure what she's going to do with these mustard seeds. And she pours them in my hand. And I looked at it and I looked at her and I said, do you not know this is all the faith I have left? I mean, so much so you couldn't even see the mustard seed that I had in my hand. I said, that's all the faith I have left. A little of nothing. And she looked at me and smiled and said, that's all you need.
I am Lakeisha Lucent, Pass the Mustard Seed.
Hi, I'm Mark Parr. I'm host of the Cat Builder Talk radio show, Pass the Mustard Seed.
Hi, I am Krista K. Joy Williams, host of the Beauty Essential Show, and I am passing the mustard seed of determination.
I'm Altoine Nelson, and I'm the CEO of From Nothing to Something Productions. Pass the mustard seed.
Hi, my name is Christian Monroe, CEO of If You Knew Me Anti-Bullying Campaign, and I'm passing the mustard seed.
You guys are tuned in to your boy Knox, the entertainment entrepreneur. I'm one of the authors or contributing authors to Pass the Mustard Seed. I'm passing the mustard seed to you.
Hi, I'm author Nick Bartley, CEO of the V12 Corporation. Pass the mustard seed.
Hi, I'm Nedra Buckmeyer, founder of Hope Fulfilled Life Coaching, and I'm passing my mustard seed.
I'm Dan Moore, Sr., I'm president of the Apex Museum, and I'm passing the mustard seed.
The darkest place in my life was my senior year, and realizing that I was behind grade level, I was passing but not graduating on time. And I watched all of my friends gather together to put on their cap and gowns and graduate while I sat back feeling like a failure. I felt alone in that time because I felt like I didn't really have anyone rooting for me. It was already as if no one checked my report cards, no one asked, are your grades okay? No one really asked the question. So it was almost like feeling lonely and just isolated from the world. During the time of just feeling lonely, I was just thinking of things in my mind, just trying to figure out, do you stay in school or do you drop out? And so I just chose to drop out because I felt like it was easier for me to drop out of school and disappear from this earth versus just staying in school and having, the feelings of failure and people laughing because, hey, you're still back in school while everyone else is going on to their college years or whatever they desire to do.
For me, when I decided to leave Michigan and move down here to Georgia, it was a last minute decision. Things weren't going good there. I decided I didn't want to be there, so I moved down here. But I'm in a dark place. Most of the time, am I making the right decisions? Am I choosing the right people to help me move my life forward? Why am I by myself? Things like that. Those are the things that I deal with. I start second guessing some of the decisions that I'm making.
The darkest place in my life was, actually there's several things, but it was in the transition of me trying to find a job in my marriage. Those are the two darkest places. And the reason why I say that is because I went through an identity crisis. And I lost who Krista was. And in the process, I was basically, playing tug of war with, who I wanted to be and who others wanted me to be. And that's where I started going through depression and battling things inside my marriage and, fighting with that. And I actually went through several stages of depression to the point where I wanted to commit suicide. A lot of people don't know that.
The darkest moment along my journey is not really being able to figure out my purpose through all of the chaos of actually being in the hood. I didn't understand my purpose for life or what have you, and it was like I wasn't seeing any hope. You seeing like people die, people going to prison, you seeing crack addicts, you seeing other people that just didn't care. It's hard to find hope within that stuff. And then the second time in my life is being in college, because I still, although I got away from that environment in which I felt like was the problem when I got there, when I got to college, I still felt the same way. I was there, I had a major, I was doing my work, but I still didn't have a purpose or a passion for life. It just seemed like I was existing. So it was kind of like the same thing when I was in the hood. I was just existing.
The most darkest time for me was kind of when I entered high school. I was still trying to find myself, and I didn't have the best self-esteem, and I always confided in guys and stuff to tell me that I was pretty or beautiful and stuff, and I kind of got mixed up with the wrong guy. And I started to feel myself a little bit because I was on the dance team and I was doing so much, and I started really disrespecting my mom and just being out of character and not acting how I was raised. And that was just the darkest time for me because it took a long time, and I'm still trying to reach that area where I feel confident in myself to go in a place where I feel like, okay, it's okay to be me. I don't need a guy. I don't need someone to tell me that I'm beautiful. I have to know it for myself. So that was the darkest time for me.
One of my darkest moments in life was when I had broke my wrist and dislocated my elbow, and I played basketball all my life, and that's what I knew and what I loved, and I worked hard at it. I mean, anybody who knows me knows I was one of the hardest workers ever. I'm not a tall guy. I was always one of the shortest people on the court, but I was always one of the people who hustled the hardest, one of the people who never gave up, who was relentless. Even when we was down big in games, I never gave up. In practice, I was always the first one to the drill line. And when I broke my wrist and dislocated my elbow, my shooting wrist at that, like, I'm laying in my hospital bed and it's late in my career. I just signed up with EuroLeague, with the Euro Camp.
In my darkest moment where I felt alone, it's kind of a two-parter. The first one will be when I lost my job in 2009. Didn't really do anything or really felt that I deserved that. But I felt alone, but at the same time, I felt that it was, again, a matter of time for me to be reassured and lean more on my faith in God rather than man. The second piece, which actually kind of stemmed my submission, was when I was evicted from my apartment. And it was one of those things to where it's like, wait a minute, that's my stuff sitting out here. And the crazy thing is I was actually there when they came knocking on the door. It's like, okay, it could be any day now. Lord, what's going on? And they did it, but as they was taking it out, it's like, first I was thinking, hey, y'all got this stuff out faster than I could get it in.
When I look back at the dark places in years that were in my life, I felt hopeless, which is really not a good place. You're living, but you're not thriving. You're not surviving. You're merely existing because of internal struggles. Yes, you may have some talents, you may have some gifts, but they're covered and kind of smothered because of the internal turmoil that you're secretly walking through. So it's a dark place. It's a place where you feel like you will never be able to achieve anything, whether it's from a scholastical standpoint or if you have, an idea of somewhere where you want to be in your career, or maybe even family-wise. Although I was engaged, but I still felt like there was this struggle on the inside of me. It was this part of me, my past, that plagued me, that I suppressed, because the mind has the ability to be able to suppress in order for you to cope and to move forward. So I just really basically was in a place where it was a dark place. It was a place where I just kind of existed. I did feel love. I know that people loved me, but I didn't so much love myself. I knew that I could be better. I knew that there was more to me, but it's almost as if you're in this dark tunnel and you're looking way up at the top and you see the light at the top of the tunnel, but you're down at the bottom of the tunnel and you don't see anything along the walls, any scales where you can actually climb up. So you feel like you're in this pit, but you're like, how can I get out? Even though you know you can get out.
The foundation is very firm in my life. And I will have to say that my father, when I was coming up, I was the youngest of 10 children. And that's quite a challenge. We were poor, didn't know we were poor. But he had pride and instilled in us pride. Never missed a day of school. We went to school every single day, never absent or late. We could only get sick on the weekends. That's how strict he was. So we had a father that knew who he was, number one, and taught us who we were. It was years later that I learned to really appreciate what he had done. I thought he was a strict man. I thought he was mean. He wasn't mean, he was strict. He knew what I was going to have to face in this world, so he was trying to prepare me for that. He knew about Marcus Garvey. He knew about black institutions. He knew about blackness and pride. And it wasn't until many years later, I was doing some research on a family history book. I had the pleasure of going to the National Archives here in Georgia. It is the only place in the country that has the original draft cards from those who were drafted in World War I. I had the pleasure of holding his draft card in my hand, looking on the back of it, and where it said race, he said Africa. This was the 1900s, early 1900s. So just to know that he thought that way, and every card that I looked at, if the corner was torn at the end, it meant the person was, quote, a Negro or black. That's how they determined what race you were. But for him at that age to say he was African in that time in his life, that told me where he was. he always made us walk with pride. We didn't walk with our head down. We walked with pride. He took no issues without writing to someone if he could make a change. He wrote to the president on many occasions if there was a problem and got answers. So he taught us from an early age how to respect ourselves and our families.
When I was 25 years old, you know, my spiritual mom finally poured into me, and I was trying to figure out how do I tell my boyfriend at the time that I'm a high school dropout. And so she said, just tell him, you know, go ahead and open up. It's okay. You're not a failure. And she poured that into me, and it made me feel so much better. And to hear my husband, which was my boyfriend then, say to me, you know, you can earn your GED. It's okay. You know, it's not the end of the world. And so with my spiritual mom and my husband pouring into me at that time, and my neighbor saying, hey, you know, don't give up. Just go ahead and do what you have to do. My spiritual mom looked at me and she said, Lakeisha, just because you dropped out of school does not mean that God is not still with you. You can still move on. You can push. You can go forward. It's just faith. You have to believe. And so it was the faith, her pushing faith and me learning what faith was, is how all of it began. Just believing finally that, you know, I wasn't a failure.
I was fortunate my parents always gave me the inspiration. They're the ones that gave me the mustard seed. My mom gave me the spiritual mustard seed, and my father gave me the physical, practical mustard seed about I can do anything. My mother said to me that God has me. Whatever I need to do, as long as I have faith, I'll be taken care of. My father said to me to give me the practical mustard seed was that you can do anything. All you have to do is put your mind to it. You're intelligent, you can get out there. There's no one better than you. You don't have to look down or look up to anybody. You're equal. When my father said that to me, it made me feel empowered. It made me feel like I could do anything. And I knew that he was always back there helping me, encouraging me. I see him now, you know, when I get stuck somewhere, I just can hear his voice going, you can do this, you can do this. My mother is special. I had a special relationship. I feel her, I hear him, but I always feel her when I'm in a tough situation. I can just feel her spiritual energy just giving me that extra push.
I was just riding my car and God gave me light with just a radio station ad. They were basically wanting people to do sales for the radio station. I was like, okay, gosh, I can do sales. I've done sales before. I've been in retail. I sold cars. Yes, I sold cars. So that comes as a shock to everybody when I tell them that. And I was like, well, that's something that I could do. So that's how I got into radio broadcasting, was just that radio ad and them needing sales associates to basically sell radio advertising for the station. And one thing led to another. You know, I was professional when I went to the orientation, and I had my resume in hand, and to my surprise, it was myself and one other person there. It was just us two, and I was like, God, should I be here? I questioned that. Should I be here? Don't question it. Go do what you do best. Be who you are. I presented my resume, and they liked me. They liked what they saw, and they welcomed me aboard to their sales team. So I went from sales, to make a long story short, I did sales. Then from there, my general manager saw a little bit more in me, so he offered me an office manager's position. And at that time, my husband and I, we had separated, so I needed streams of income, and the sales position was commission based. So I was getting kind of slow started with that, but he saw that it was a need for me. So it was a salary position for the office manager position at that station. And then one thing led to another. About a month down the road, I'm driving my way to work, and I hear one of my co-worker announcers talking about health and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, they need to have a radio station on beauty or fashion and stuff. And I was like, nah, I'm good. They probably won't do anything like that. So I get to my office, and my boss, my general manager at the time, he asked me to come into his office. And when I sat down in his office and he explained to me what he wanted, he said, I've been trying to get a radio show on the air, and it just didn't go. And I really feel that you are the person that could drive this. How would you feel if you host your own beauty and fashion radio show?
There were a lot of people that poured into me. it started from childhood, like from a crack addict pulling me to the side saying, hey man, when you have kids one day, you make sure you establish a relationship with them. You always make sure you take care of your family. From a drug dealer saying, hey man, we don't want you involved in that kind of stuff because you got a chance to make it out of here. From my mother just staying on me in a hard way. Although she suffered with alcoholism, she still stayed on me in a hard way. Even when I tried to feel sorry for myself, she would be like, no, you're better than that. Like, she would force me to go to school and stuff like that, even if I didn't want to go. In college, I remember having a teacher, like, just explaining to him the type of environment that I came from. He was like, he asked me, how did I make it out of there? And we had a conversation about it. He was like, dude, how did you make it out of there? And we actually had a conversation about it. So him speaking to me about that let me know that maybe I did do something special. And then I had an aunt. She said, hey man, it seems that you like to work with youth. You're always talking to people. Why don't you start a nonprofit organization, or you start an organization to actually help the youth? So all of those people poured into me. And even today, just a person walking down the street can pour into me because I'm obsessed with storytelling. So I'm always studying human psychology. Where most people might just look at these two people walking down the street, I look at it and I say, why, what connects them to one another? Why are they so fascinated to one another? What kind of story can I build from that? What story have I built that I can go back and put that into that I haven't even screened yet? So everybody pours into me all the time.
I can't just say it was one person. It was several people that poured into me. I just woke up from being sedated from my surgery. And first, my mom and they were there, my family was there, of course. But it was one of my friends, Nick Yoxel. Him, his sister, and his family. I didn't expect them to come through. I had no clue that they would be there. Especially his sister and their kids. I thank you guys so much for coming. You guys don't know how much that meant to me. But it started with my family and them when they showed up, because I didn't expect them, and they was like, it's gonna be okay. And they tell me to keep my head up. They had their balloons, and just their presence, and them still believing in me was just enough for me to continue to believe in myself. So I mean, all my friends, Rome, Bullock, Darrell, I mean, all you guys, you guys kept my head in the right place, as well as during that time, by being positive, opportunities came, and one thing led to another, and it's just support, and I can't like stress that enough. It's like when we support each other, it uplifts us to a point to where we can actually be progressive in life no matter what happens. I was mentally, I hadn't made that breaking point yet to where I'm like, oh my God, it's over with. I done worked all my life to try and play basketball. I was always, I worked so hard because I was the smallest. And I was just, going into surgery. I was just kind of still in that phase where this isn't happening. Not right now. Now it can't be. The doctor came in and gave me my, the speech of, you have to sign this because anything can happen. I had to get a plate, right here with rods around, screws around. It's right by an artery. And so he was saying, you're probably not going to be able to play ball. And he said, you probably won't be able to play ball again because there's a plate right here in my wrist. And it's by the artery, so you have to sign this consent just in case anything happens during surgery. And I'm just like, okay, let's get it done so I can get back on the court. My mind was still there, and it hadn't really sunk in yet to where my career that I worked for since the ball was bigger than me. I've got a picture at home where the ball's like, it looks like this big on me because I'm so small. I've been doing this all throughout my life. And I woke up that next morning, before I could even get there, my support system was there.
I really believe, because of my relationship with my Lord and Savior, and me really wanting to be all that I can be for Him and Him to function and flow through me. Growing up, I grew up in Brooklyn, was born and raised there. So was in the church for the time I was 4 years old. So I was brought up in the church, new church. knew about God would see the experience that the adults would have. And I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And what really I believe for me was pivotal was my mom. My mom, minister, pastor, all of the above, was a very powerful woman, and God used her in the area of, deliverance. And I would see her life and see the anointing and the change that would take place in people's lives as a result of how she presented herself to God, meaning her own personal life. And I began to desire, oh my goodness, I want that. Whatever that is, I want the ability to be able to help people, to be able to help see a change or something, different take place. And it was from a perspective of not that I wanted to be grand, but I wanted to be able to deposit something, to be able to see the difference in someone's life because of something that I was doing, not because I was great, but because you submit yourself to Christ and you say, okay, God, flow through me, use me. And I believe that her relationship and her prayer life and things of that nature, I think that really was the beginning of what led me to, okay, there's more for me. This is not the end for me. There's more for me. So I definitely believe her life was definitely something that kind of pushed me forward. And then as I moved forward and moved away from home and was connected with pastors and mentors, definitely Dr. Sherry Gaither, she was a definite provoker in my life. I remember her asking me what was my passion. And at the time, I didn't know what my passion was. I knew some things that I liked, but your passion is something that you would do for free, something that you absolutely love to do. It makes your heart leap, it makes you sing, and that for me is definitely empowering women and teens, especially in a place where you feel you're stuck and you can't move forward from an emotional perspective.
Luckily, I had a friend at that time who was staying across the hall. She allowed me to stay with her that weekend, but she had a one-bedroom just like I did. But one of my fraternity brothers and now one of my clients, he was like, man, I want you to be comfortable. And you could come stay with me. I have a one bedroom space, and as in my entry, that's the living room, but it really was the dining room that was converted into a room for me just to stay. And again, someone opening, not even thinking twice about what it is. And so for me, that was it was a blessing moment, because for all my life, I can remember going back, always doing selfless counseling, acts for hope. But at no time can I really recall, outside of my mom giving me life, people just selflessly, without thinking, like, all right, Nick, I got you. Like during the time I lost my job, everyone's concern was, where you gonna work? What you gonna do? You okay? Not a matter of, hey, hit me up, I got you, whatever it is that you need. So that was more like a breakdown moment. It was like, okay, he's like, I just want you to be comfortable. I want you to be comfortable. Again, hearing those words resonate was not anything that I could really imagine, because I remember one night I had a storage from the first time when I moved out of my condo, so I still had that. And then when I even moved into this place, I never emptied out storage. I just kept it there, because again, I felt that this is only temporary. Not sure what's gonna happen next, because being an entrepreneur, people don't understand your next move, your next bill payment comes from, hey, I did this project for you, and you're gonna pay me. So if I'm sitting here waiting on someone to pay me or whatever, that's not a level of certainty that really allows you to do it. So a lot of what I do is kind of making sure people understand psychologically what it means to say that I'm going to be a business owner and I'm going to do it for real. So again, to hear someone like, okay, I want you to be comfortable, it allowed me to be at ease, not to be complacent, to still be thankful for it, to still be on top of what it is I need to be doing, but it still allowed me that moment to be like, God, I thank you.
The thing that pushed me to continue on with the GED classes was when I reported my instructor to her supervisor, and the supervisor reported to me, and she said, "You're almost there. Don't give up. Keep going. Just give me one more week and you can take your test, and I can guarantee you'll pass it." And that, in that very moment, even in that dark space of my life, it was as if a light came on and I believed again.
I'm never in a dark place for too long. When I'm in a dark place, what I do is I go dark, I get quiet, and I listen to the spirit, and I listen to that voice. Stop listening to all the extra noise. and I trust what I hear. You know, I meditate. So I trust the voices that I hear during my meditation let me know this is what I need to be doing.
The things that I used to help me get through my dark place was my beauty care business. My beauty care business was the drive behind me breathing on top of water, not drowning. If it wasn't for me being in the company that I was in, I don't think I'll be here either. Like I said, that was my safe haven. That was like my escape. You know, just going around and talking with other women, making them feel good, and you know, building confidence within themselves. I struggled with that. I looked at it as helping other women. You know, my other half was looking at bringing income to the house because I didn't have a job. That was the thing. I was looking at blessing others. He was looking at the financial part of it.
Well, when I was in the dark place, there were several things I did to cultivate my seed. One being having kids, because although I had them, well, my daughter, I was still in a dark place. So having her, I realized that I had to educate myself. You know, you can have kids, but to me, parents are teachers. So it's up to you to teach them. So being in a dark place and actually educating myself, I began to get a better understanding of how the world worked, and I began to get a better understanding of myself as well.
For me, what brought me out of that area is just, it was a lot of stuff. You know, I had to step out of myself and really look into what I was doing. And you know, my mom was, you know, frustrated with me. Everybody was frustrated, and you know, I was a complainer. So I would always be like, well, why is everybody yelling at me? And you know, I'm not doing anything wrong. So I had to sit down and actually step outside of my physical being and look at myself and be like, okay, well, maybe I am doing something wrong. And just talk to other people and really, you know, listen. Instead of just going to the organizations and sitting there, I actually had to listen. I had to listen to what other people were saying, and that was the hardest thing for me because I wasn't really a listener. So I had to listen and take in and start finding stuff that, you know, I need to work on for me and, you know, accept myself for who I am.
By me not allowing it to just sink in and just to set on it, I released it through a gift that I've always had that I never really utilized. I could always write poetry, and I never really utilized it. I just, you know, I was so focused on basketball, football, track, athletics, you know, that I kind of just pushed it to the side and forgot about the fact that when I was 10 years old, I became a published poet off a homework assignment. Just pushed it to the side. I would write poetry for all the girls during high school for their birthdays and whatnot. And it was nothing. I would sit in class and just write a poem, boom, 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 give it to them at the end of class. It was nothing. And I never really looked at that could become a career. And I realized once I started writing, when I was injured, and you know what was coming out, it was really interesting, and I felt really good about it. And it just so happened while I was in school playing ball, I was a communication major, so I learned about things like marketing, branding, how to package a product, and things like that. And so one day, in the midst of all this, I'm back, you know, I'm back together, you know, my wrist is cool. I'm playing ball again, but not at a competitive level like I was. Some kids where I worked at the juvenile correction facility back home in Kansas. And one of the kids, there was a group of kids that were, you know, spitting some bars, doing their little rap thing. And so I came through and I just spit a couple of bars on what I had wrote. And one of the kids afterward, they were all like, yo, that's dope, that's crazy. And afterwards, one of the kids was like, so when you gonna lay that down? When you gonna drop some music? I'm like, man, get out of here. And he just kept on me. His name was Billy. I hope you see this, because you're the one of the people that really pushed me to become a hip hop artist. But he pushed me, he said, man, you gotta lay it down. He pushed me to the point where he said, okay, look, if you don't wanna go to a studio, this is what you need to do. Go to Radio Shack, download this program, you can do it right in your living room, get this mic, it's only $20, and he wrote it all down for me. And so, once he did that, I was like, okay, let me go see what this is talking about. So I did exactly what he said, and I recorded my first song called I Mean What I Say. And that was the beginning of something I never even seen come in my whole life.
when you think about, okay, I could be sleeping on a sidewalk, or I can be sleeping on this air mattress in this dining room, which now looks like my room because of my air mattress, my desk. When I say he went completely out of his way to ensure that my comfort was as if I was still back in my own spot, it is one of those things I couldn't ask anyone that was even blood related to do for me. So again, I tell anyone is, you have to cherish everyone that the Lord has allowed you to come in contact with. You just never know. And it's not as if it was somebody who I was like, oh yeah, I could call this person and do whatever. It's just so happened that we had another mutual friend that I was staying with prior to moving into this apartment. So again, hopping from sofas to floors, and actually this friend actually had an extra room that I just rented for a couple of months. And in terms of the Lord blessed me to be able to have this second chance to get this other apartment, it was giving me that chance to get back, be independent. In the midst of that darkness, there was always still that light. There was nothing that allowed me to get down in the situation. There was nothing that allowed me to get depressed. I would say that my faith allowed me to completely understand everything it is that I was going through.
When you're around individuals who know and they have foresight and have the ability to see beyond where you can see, that's a great place to be, because it causes you, it places a drive within you to be better, to do more, to want to be just a better person for yourself. But I believe as you are just adding virtue, you're adding knowledge, you're adding faith, you have the ability to pass the seed to someone else that will start them on a journey. So it's almost like a domino effect. Someone's touching my life and I'm having the ability to touch someone else's life, and to ignite a passion, to inspire hope is powerful. And that's what I really feel that question did for me. It ignited something in me. One, a quest to find out what my passion is, and it inspired hope. Somebody believes in me. Those are powerful words. When someone tells you, I believe in you, that can take you to the moon, because you're like, really, little old me? Because we often see ourselves from a totally different perspective than what others view us. And as I would, even in serving, some say, oh my goodness, you've just blessed my life, or you've just, oh my goodness, I look up to you. And I'm thinking, what? Because you're like, I'm just trying to get myself together, and you're doing what? And you're not doing it for show. You're not doing it because you're being real. And you're like, well, okay, I'm glad that something that I did actually blessed you. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I've got this list of 20 things that I'm really trying to work through, and feel that I'm trying to be a better person. So it ignited something within me, and it started a journey, and I'm still on the journey. And sometimes when you're on the journey, and there's times that the journey can be a little bumpy, and you're like, oh goodness, I'm shaking. Can I just have some ground where I feel like I'm settled? I wouldn't take any experience and change it, because it shaped and made me who I am today.
Well, I think different situations require a different kind of mindset. I think if you're sitting in front of a banker and you need money, the answer may be no. It doesn't mean that God has not left you, because the answer is yes someplace else. If you're in a lion's den, and you know that God is going to lock the lion's jaw. So it's not about necessarily one formula meets all, or one size fits all. You have to learn to trust your spirit, learn to trust what God is doing in your life, and position yourself to know that whatever the outcome, I know that God's will, and I pray that God's will be done. It's not always a yes. Someone said God always answers prayers. Either going to be yes, no, or wait. So when you look at life as itself, it's not always the answer that you want or anticipate, but many times God is taking you through something to something.
Mustard seed faith is believing even when you don't see it. It's believing regardless of what everything looks like around you. It's believing the dream that is inside of your heart.
Faith is just trust in something that you can't see. That's what makes faith so important. There's so many things we can see, but really having strong faith It's trusting in what you can't see. You just know it's there. And that way it's always with you. You don't have to see it. You just always know it's there. And that's what I think is so strong about faith. It's something that nobody can take away because they can't see it either. You know, it's just yours. And as long as you know it's there and you trust it and you're willing to take action based on what it tells you to do, you'll be fine.
I passed the mustard seed because seeing children feel like a failure, it hurts me. It hurts my heart because I understand that dark place. I understand being there and feeling like you just can't get up out of it. And so I passed the mustard seed to encourage them, to encourage all youth and even adults who have dropped out of school and haven't earned their GED to keep going, to go back, earn your GED. And if you want to enroll in college, but don't sit there in that dark place. It's not a place that anyone wants to be. You are more than a conqueror through Christ Jesus. You can do all things. There's nothing impossible for you if you would just believe.
If you don't pass the mustard seed, then you won't be able to receive another mustard seed. If you hold on to your seeds, the mustard seeds won't grow. So you have to take what you receive and pass it on so that you can receive more blessings.
You should pass the mustard seed because you want to continue a cycle of positivity in your life. The more positive you give to someone, that person will give it to someone else.
Passing the mustard seed is more than just a metaphor. It's a matter of understanding that we all are, that there always exists someone in a worse situation than us. So even in our darkest places, there's someone else that's in a place that's even darker and who don't understand how to get themselves out. You know, some of us who are able to get out are able to coach others out, are able to go and pull them. Like I think about Harriet Tubman. She could have easily just, freed herself and been done with it, but she kept going back and she kept going back and she kept going back. Not because she didn't think that those people were able to get themselves out, because sometimes people have to snatch you out of your situation to get you where it is that you're supposed to be. So I look at this mustard seed that I'm passing right now is literally grabbing you and snatching you from that place that you do not belong to get you where it is that you're supposed to be. Point blank, period.
So I'm passing my mustard seed of hope and inspiration. I pray that your passions are ignited and I inspire hope in your future.
As I look at sowing seeds, I think about a farmer who was praying and praying and praying for God to make his crops bountiful. And for years this happened and had no crops. And someone finally let him know that the seeds he purchased from the store were still sitting under his chair. You're not going to have a harvest if you don't plant seeds. You can have a ton of seeds in your barn or under your chair or in a bag or in your wagon. But until that bag is opened and they're planted, you will not have a harvest. The more seeds you plant, the greater your harvest is going to be. So when you sow, don't sow sparingly, sow bountifully.
If you're out there and you dropped out of school and you're feeling like a failure at this very moment, what you need to do is just believe in yourself again. Have faith the size of a mustard seed. It's a small seed, small jar, but believe big. It's the power of your faith. Go out and continue to do what you need to do, because it's when you don't give up is when you see everything come together. But the minute you give up, everything falls apart. So just keep believing.
If you have a fear of moving forward, one of the things you have to understand, as I put into the book, you have your own drum beat. Okay, you're beating your own drum. It doesn't have to coincide with everyone else's life. And that fear is good. Fear, actually, if you use it properly, can give you the strength to overcome a lot of obstacles. So fear is a good thing. You just have to learn how to channel that energy. A lot of times we're in fear and we just stand still. Once you're afraid, you just need to go ahead and put that foot out in front of you and attack that fear. Attack whatever it is, just go for it. But a lot of times we're so afraid we just stand still, frozen in place, even though we know what we're supposed to be doing. But the hardest part is just moving that one foot in front of the other and just keep on going. If you're in fear right now, understand that you walk by your own drumbeat and don't compare yourself to the lives of anyone else. You are your own maestro of your life.
Know and believe that you want to get out. That's where it starts. That's where it started with me. When I wanted to get out of the situation that I was in, I was tired. When you get to that point when you're tired, that's when things start moving. Say to yourself, I want out. God, show me how to get out of this dark place. When you open your mouth and you speak that, that's when God starts moving. And I believe that. When you don't believe, you're not gonna get out. That's what I want to share with you first, because that's what I did. I spoke it out loud, but it was under my breath. I'm tired. I want out. I had to be patient with it, because when I did it on my own, on my time, it screwed up. Wait, but have faith. And when God shows that door for you to get through, that's when it's your time to move. Once you do that, you find positive people to be around, somebody that you can confide in. Not necessarily a pastor, but somebody that knows who you are. If you're in any kind of abusive situation, find some legal help. That's somebody that you know and that you trust. Find that legal help. Then go from there. If you're out there and you don't know what to do with your vision or your business, it's okay. Don't give up. Don't give up. Trust me. I tried it and it didn't do me any justice at all. Find that place. Meditate. That's one thing I have done. You meditate. You don't have to necessarily read a Bible. You can meditate. That means that you're really trying to get that spiritual connection with God. And that's when He's going to speak to you the most. If you have to sit in the bathtub, even if you're using the bathroom, close that door. That's your 5 minutes of meditation. Do that. Grow that spiritual relationship first. You guys, when I tell you that, I don't know how many times I wanted to give up. I don't know how many times I wanted to take my own life. He said, don't do it. Don't do it. Because you have a purpose. You have something to share, and you do as well. You have something to offer to someone. Whatever it is that you desire here, continue to push forward. Continue to push forward.
If you're breathing, regardless of what you're going through, you can change it.
If you're being bullied right now, my motivation to you is just to find somebody that you can confide in and vent to, and just come to terms with yourself and just worry about yourself, and really just, work on building your self-esteem and focus on your positive friends and people that you feel that are helping you through your life and helping you grow.
When you're in a situation to where you don't have the support system like I did with my family, my mom, my nephew, and everybody that was around, it doesn't mean that you can't support yourself. You have to make the decision and the choices of where you're gonna go in your life. It may be hard, you may be going through a very, very difficult time, but the sooner that you can realize that your perception of where you want to go is completely up to you. Your perception can work for you or it can work against you. It's people that's told me I don't have the opportunity that this person has, or I don't have the opportunity that this person has. But we all have one opportunity that's constant with everybody, anybody who's watching this, and that's the opportunity of waking up. If you wake up, it's up to you to decide how your day is going to play out. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I want whatever it is you want in life. I want this. This is who I'm going to be. You have to give yourself those affirmations. You have to speak to yourself. It's called self-motivation. It's called self-discipline. When you become and learn how to be passionate about life, then you unlock the door to opportunity.
Whatever it is that you are trying to achieve, or whatever it is you aspire, or you have a glimmer of hope that you see within yourself, I want you to believe in you. Because half the battle is believing that you can do it. So believe that you can do it, because I believe that you can. Because you know why? You're more than able to do it. There is so much hope on the inside of you. There is so much fire on the inside of you. You just have to uncover it. And you're like, you know what, I can't do this.
I think it's all a matter of trusting God and knowing that you're in the right place, doing the right thing, and the outcome will come out as God directs it to come out. When I look at the Apex, for example, I've been there 35 years. I'm not a museum person. I'm not a historian. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a curator. I'm a filmmaker. When I saw what I felt was the need to start this institution with nothing, I started it because the need was there. When there is a need somewhere and I see it and I can move to help, it's my obligation and responsibility to do that. The outcome belongs to God. If I look around and say 35 years to do this, it shouldn't take that long. Or maybe it shouldn't take that long. But the lessons I've learned along this way has told me and taught me that I've got to look in the eyes of children and see what they need and know these doors must stay open at all costs. I don't measure success, first of all, in terms of dollars and cents or stature in life. That can change in a heartbeat, without question. We look at people who have money, we say, well, they're well off. We never know what problems they have. They could be fighting some internal battles that are larger than ours. So money does not solve every problem, number one. And stature, I never look for stature. I am who I am by the grace of God. I don't need any accolades. I don't need any acknowledgments. I don't need anybody to say I've done a great job. I don't need any plaques on the wall. I walk with God on a daily basis. As long as I do what I feel He has me to do, I'm satisfied. So I don't have to look around and say I've made it, because what is making it? My wife works at a hospital, and she works in the area where folks are getting heart surgery. Well, folks come to there every day. I have a whole lot of money. I mean, millionaires come to there who have heart trouble. Families who have addiction problems that no one ever even know about. I'm glad to be in good health. I feel great every single day. No medications, no aches, no pains. I walk with God on a daily basis, and that's my walk. I don't need anything else other than that. My life, as far as I'm concerned, has been this way always. I mean, ever since I gave my life to Christ when I was 18 years old, I have learned to walk with Him. I've traveled to places that I didn't have money to go to. I've taken trips overseas. My first film was done in Africa. I held a camera in my hand for about 3 days. I was a filmmaker, I thought. So I took the camera and went to Africa. I feel as long as you're walking in the will of God and doing what you feel pleases God, then you're safe. And I'm not saying that things couldn't happen to me or happen to someone because you're in Christ. What I'm saying is I don't look for things outside of that to make me happy. Money won't make me happy. It just won't. Look at how many people who are wealthy and take their own life. I mean, millionaires sometimes take their own life. And you wonder why, because this guy was happy. He was a movie star, an Oscar nominee, an Oscar winner. This person had, cars and boats and travel, and one day took his life. So what's happening in this person's life that we don't see? We see his bank account. We see his name on Fortune 500. He made the list of billionaires. But we never know what's going on inside of a person. Yet somebody who's homeless on the street every day is happy they can be, speaks in the morning. I've seen people with no legs in the wheelchair coming in smiling and good morning, how's everybody doing? And somebody with both legs and a pocket full of money and you can't even speak to you. Can't say hello, can't smile. That's to me the difference. That you can't buy. That to me is priceless. Being able to smile even with adversity, that's priceless.
Thank you so much to all of the contributing authors. Thank you so much for your transparency and for sharing your stories with others nationwide, because many will be impacted, inspired, visions reignited from your story. And I cannot wait until you see your harvest. Thank you for answering the call. Thank you for making the commitment to pass the mustard seed, because it's only together that we can never do what we can on our own. So, lastly, we asked the authors to do like maybe a motivational or inspirational tip. If there's something specific outside of Pass the Mustard Seed that you would like to say to inspire the person that's watching it, you have the floor. It doesn't have to be long. It could be a sentence. It could be 2 sentences, whatever. But something from you, and not, question-provoked answer.
Well, I think living life is very rich, it's very rewarding. And I think the way we enter life and the way we feel about life reflects all we really are. I laugh every single day. I smile every single day. I find something to laugh about. When I go through life, I don't look at what is in front of me or what I have in my bank account. I look at what I have in my heart. And that to me will take me miles down the road. I'm a happy person. I know where I am, I know where I'm going, I know who I serve, I know who I am and whose I am.
Thank you guys so much for watching it all the way to the end, because you're in for a really big treat. If you like this video, I ask that you purchase the copy of Pass the Mustard Seed. It's with 30 authors, 30 other contributing authors who share their stories on how they made it through, to remind you that it's your faith that moves mountains and not your hands. You can go on Amazon.com. You can even go on my website at dleeinspires.com to order your copy. Or if you want to pass the mustard seed, you can order a copy for a friend or a loved one. Be sure to pass the mustard seed. And always remember that it's your faith that moves mountains and not your hands. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please keep in contact with us via social media at Pass the Mustard Seed for the next volume and part 2 DVD. Thank you guys so much.